Hi. So today I'm going to be doing my mid-April wrap-up for the books that I've read this month. I started this channel so I could talk about books, and I haven't been talking about books, so here we go. We're going to talk about books. So I was inspired to do this in the way that Chelsea Dolling Reads, whose channel I will link down below, does it, where she separates her books by the number of stars. And so I thought that was really cool, and it helps me get organized in my head. So I'm going to do that. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is Trace Elements of Random Tea Parties by Felicia Luna Lemus. This book follows Leticia as she lives in California, and it's very flowery written, so there's a lot of references to La Llorona, the crying woman. If you've seen the new trailer for the movie, it's that, but it's all metaphorical. And it talks about her while she goes, she has flings with different women. It's a queer romance, sort of romance. It's not that great. This book was way too flowery, and I saw everything coming before it happened, because if you read this and this, you read the entire book. The end. There was no surprises in there. Everybody that this girl was in love with was a jerk. She also wasn't that great. And it never said why she was doing anything she was doing. This book was, and if you don't like metaphorical, flowery writing, you're gonna despise this book, because that's all it is. Nothing is told transparent. This takes place in the early 2000s, late 1990s, on the post-punk queer scene of LA and San Francisco. So it sounded really interesting to me, but it's just not great. And I like the cover, but I wasn't a fan. And the only good redeeming quality of this was the Latina rep. I like that, but everything else was just trash. So, sorry, no. My other 2-star book was Burgerwurst by M.T. Anderson. M.T. Anderson wrote Feed, and I love Feed. That's one of my favorite books. I loved it. It's so great. This book sucked. This book follows a guy who is going to seek revenge on this other guy by getting a job at the same McDonald's type franchise that the guy works at, and somehow seeking revenge there. And the reason he's seeking revenge is because his ex-girlfriend cheated on him with the guy at work. So I'm not sure how it's the guy's problem, but whatever. He can't move on from his girlfriend. And the whole point of this book is just ridiculous. He can't move on from his girlfriend, and just move on. That's the whole problem with this book, is that it's just so boring. And it's also written in very weird dialogue. So there's a couple in here, and they talk super weird. They talk like nobody would ever talk, and they say things like, Jen said, "I don't believe you went with him, Anthony." Rick said, "It was kind of stupid." Jen said, come on. This writing style is just trash. And I really liked Feed, and I don't remember if the same writing style was the same way in Feed, but it's just really bad. And this couple in here, the way their dialogue is, it's like Juno, where they're trying to be hip, but it's just not working out. So overall, pass on this book. Just go eat it, McChicken. Now we're going to talk about my 3-star books, and I have 3 3-star books. The first 2 I'm going to talk about together. They are Reflection by Elizabeth Lim and Part of Your World by Liz Braswell. These are both part of the Twisted Tale series from Disney. The Part of Your World obviously is a Little Mermaid retelling, and then Reflection is a Mulan retelling, and these just basically say, what if the villain won? So for this one, what if Mulan had to travel to the underworld? And for this, about this much of this book is just retelling the movie. So if you've seen Mulan, you can skip this whole part of the book. Anyway, so if you've watched the movie, spoilers for a really old Disney movie, Shang gets attacked during the avalanche, and he gets hurt. And in this book, he dies. And focus, camera. He dies. And so Mulan has to go to the underworld to save him before he is reincarnated. So that's what this whole book is about. It dragged so much. And I love Mulan. It's my favorite Disney movie, but this book, when it was not it. Jeez, I can't talk. It dragged so long. The whole journey, the whole book takes place in it, like while they're trying to get out of the underworld, and I feel like it could have been like 100 pages less. It was just so long. The characters were pretty cool, but I didn't like the fact that first of all, the first fourth of the book was completely just the movie. Like the dialogue, the action was all the movie, and then the rest of the book was just them trying to get out and just dragging, and like there was no conflict, there was no tension. It was just really But I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't that great. Part of Your World takes place after Little Mermaid, but Ariel doesn't defeat Ursula. So Ursula still marries Prince Eric. She puts him under a spell, and she also has kidnapped King Triton. This book was better than the Mulan book. However, it still wasn't great. If anything, I'd rate this 3.5 out of 5 stars. The book is also a little bit longer, but it didn't feel as long. I did like the characters. They introduced a few new characters, and they didn't retell the entire story of Ariel. It was immediately after the movie takes place. So you're able to follow along pretty well if you've seen the movie. I like the pages on these books. They're kind of like this like grayish thing, and they're really cute. And I like the covers, and I'm going to continue with this series because I think it's really cool. I love the covers of these books, and I like having them all on my shelf. But this was an okay book. I think the next one they have is a Cinderella story. Or not a Cinderella story. It's the Cinderella one, and it's called like, I don't know what it's called. I don't know why I'm pretending I know what it's called. But this was like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now on to, I have one more 3-star book I forgot about. This is Rhymes with Witches by Lauren Miracle. She wrote the TTYL series, or is it just, it's called TTYL. This book was actually pretty good. It's like Mean Girls meets The Craft. Obviously it's about witches and popularity and Mean Girls. It's about this girl named Jane who, I'm reading it so I can remember, who's pretty like invisible, and then these girls called the blank Rhymes with Witches. You can figure them out. It's like the Plastics, but if the Plastics were called the Witches. They seek her out and are like, we want you to join our clique. We always choose a new freshman after the senior graduates, so they've always consistently moved up with 4 girls each year. And they basically make her sacrifice a lot to become one of them, and not just like sacrifice a lot of her friends, but sacrifice a lot. This was a pretty quick and easy read. I read it in like half a day, but it was pretty cute. I wouldn't say the ending was pretty terrible. The ending had no ending, but I did enjoy it for the most part, and I rated 3 out of 5 stars. Now on to my 4-star books. I'm gonna start with this one. This is Insert Coin to Continue. This is one of my most recent reads, actually. This is by John David Anderson. This is a really cute cover. It is middle grade, and it is about this kid named Brian. And he is playing this game. Think of it sort of like, I can't even think of what game it would be like. Kind of like Dark Souls, I would assume. He's playing this game, he's defeated the boss, and then he knows that there's a secret ending, but he can't get the secret ending. And he's beat this game like 8-9 times. So he's playing and wanting to get to the secret ending. Can't find anything on the message boards about a secret ending, but he knows it's there. Then he beats the game one more time, and he gets a message that says, insert coin to continue. Only the message is not on his screen, it is in the air. So he inserts a coin, and his life plays out like a video game. So he has quests, he has villains, he has to do a boss battle, and each of the games are referenced to like old games like Frogger, I want to say Dr. Mario's like in here. Things like, or Donkey Kong's in here. So it's a bunch of old references to games that Brian is a little too young to remember, because I guess the audience for this is going to be a little younger. But it's really cute. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was super fun. And it's just like a really easy read. But yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. My next book is going to be a little controversial because of this next part. So I've never fully seen this movie, and I know I'm going to get hate for it, so just be nice. But this is Labyrinth. This is Jim Henson's Labyrinth, and this is the novelization by A.C.H. Smith. If you've seen the movie, it's with David Bowie, he's the Goblin King, la da 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 da. It's basically the entire movie. He's the Goblin King, he kidnaps his baby, who's this girl's little brother, because the kid won't stop crying, and so the whole story follows the girl trying to get back her baby brother. Very Alice in Wonderland-esque. It has like drawings and stuff. It's really cute. I really, really enjoyed this book. I've never seen the movie, so I can't compare it to the movie, but I thought it was super cute. I love the artwork. I think it's great. And then this version has like notes from Jim Henson, so it's super cool. And then like concept art, and I think it's amazing. And this was a really, really, really fun read. If you like Alice in Wonderland, or if you like the movie, I definitely recommend you picking this up. Even if it's just for your collection, it's really cute, and I just loved it. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This next one was unexpected. This is How to Say Goodbye in Robot by Natalie Standiford. This book is about a girl who is told by her mom that she acts like a robot, like she has no emotion. And so she kind of identifies with robots. And she meets this guy, Jonah, who is like made fun of. He's kind of invisible, really. And he tells her about this radio station at night, this radio program where people call in, and it's a bunch of just like eccentric older people, people who are lonely, call into this radio station just to talk about their problems. And she starts listening every night, and her and Jonah quickly become really good friends along with the people from the radio station. And her and Jonah end up going on an adventure to find Jonah's long lost brother, who was thought to be dead, but is apparently not dead. So this book was really good. It made me cry at work, so there's that. If you liked All the Bright Places, which I loved that book, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I adored All the Bright Places, you will love this book. It's so good. It's so heart-wrenching, and I loved it. It was very weird, and there's a lot of adult themes in it. Nothing like sexually explicit, but it's like adult subjects, adult matters, you know. Talks about things like divorce and death of a loved one and depression, and it's good. It's so good, and it's not very long, and I really recommend that you read it. And this cover is really cute, but without the jacket, it's also really simplistic and cute. Oh, I put it in now. It's like that, and I think it's so cute, and I just love it, and yeah, you should read it. I'll put that in a second. And now it's time for my 5-star books. These were the best books that I read this month. And obviously, I'm going to talk about one of them, which you probably already know if you've read my blog post on it. Hint, hint. Go to the website. It's in the description below. But the first book I'm going to talk about was On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This is actually a signed first edition. Bam, bam. I love this book. I love this better than The Hate You Give. You can fight me on it. I loved it. It was so good. It was about the same size as The Hate You Give. It's just so good. If you don't know what this book is about, it's about a girl who wants to be a rapper, and she grows up in kind of like a not great area, and she wants to be a rapper. And she this actually takes place in the same area as The Hate You Give, so it takes place in the garden. So you're following a lot of people. You hear a lot of things about The Hate You Give in this book, and she wants to be a rapper. And this is just like her getting her on the come up, like she's rising above everything, and she wants to follow her dream. And it's so good, and there's like rap references in it, and there's like lyrics in this, and it's just the way that Angie Thomas writes characters is amazing. I love them. She's so funny. She's such a dork. Like, I love her. I love Brie. She's one of my favorite characters. I think I love her more than Star, and I loved Star. So yes, definitely pick this up. It's so good. 5 stars. And then, of course, the last book is no surprise to anybody. The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. This book was so good. This book was probably one of my favorite books of all time. Geekerella was my favorite book for the longest time. This came up real close. This is the sequel to Geekerella. It's technically it's the sequel to Geekerella, but it's the retelling of The Princess and the Pauper, or The Prince and the Pauper. So this girl, Imogene, is like a super fan of a Star Trek-esque series called Starfield, and she just happens to look like the main character in Starfield, Jessica. And Jessica hates Starfield. She plays like the princess type in Starfield, and she hates it. She hates it so much, and you don't really know why she hates it so much, but she does. And Imogene's trying to save Jessica's character from being permanently dead, permanently fridged from the series. And Jessica's completely against that. But they decide to switch places because of reasons that you'll find out in the book. And so Imogene has to become celebrity superstar Jessica Stone, and also try not to ruin Jessica's career by saying that she wants to save it, because it's very clear that Jessica hates being her character. It's super, super geeky, super nerdy. There's so many like callbacks to Geekerella. Oh, I loved this book. There's a character on here who's based on Carrie Fisher, so like, and then the dialogue is so great. There's so much like really good fan dialogue, like fangirl dialogue. So like they just make so many references to like Harry Potter and Star Wars and Star Trek and Dr. Horrible. Like there's so many references. It's so good. If you like conventions, if you like being a dork, a geek, a nerd, read this. Read this now. Read this. Tell Ashley Poston I sent you. She's great. I mean, I've never met her, but I love her books. And this book is great, so yeah, read this. And read it and I'll be happy, okay? Anyway, that is all my books for this first half of the month, and I'll be back at the end of the month with the rest of my books. If I read any more, hopefully I will. I plan to read 20, and that was like 7 or 8 books, so let's hope we reach 20 at the end of the month. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.